Recording in progress. Okay, thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Michael Rossi, Chair of the Clinton Planning and Zoning Commission. I would like to call this annual meeting to order. It is 7 o'clock. Can we have a roll call of the members?
Mike Knudsen,
Present.
Ellen Dahlgren. Here. Eddie Alberino,
Here.
Mike Florio,
Here.
Chinzia Lettieri, Jay Mandel,
Here.
Zach Plord,
Here.
Dylan Walter,
Here.
Bo Clark,
Here.
Lawrence Edwards.
Lawrence is here. I just admitted him.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll see Bo for Cynthia. I think that's
Chinzia.
the only alternate seat, right, or the only place to seat. So we've got 9 members.
Lawrence Edwards.
Lawrence, just so you know, I rotate the alternates for seating. So if you didn't get it this time, you will get it later. Okay. I try to be fair about that. Okay. First order of business before we get to minutes is we need to reorder the agenda because according to the bylaws on the annual meeting, the first 2 items have to be election of officers and review of the bylaws. So items 8 and 9, I believe, on the agenda need to move up to be
1 and 2.
2, yeah. Okay, so we need to move those up. So I need a motion to do
Make a
that.
motion to. I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
All right.
Okay, opposed, abstaining, motion carries. With that, need to have the election of officers. The first office to be is for chair.
I'd like to make a
I'm going to
motion.
pass the gavel to the secretary.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, just before we vote on anything, I want to let you know that Chinzia Lettieri is here.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Bo, you're bumped. Okay,
I'd like to make a motion to for Chairman Mike Ross.
thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jack.
Mike Florio seconded.
Oh, Mike seconded? Okay, he beat me to it, or beat Jay to it. Okay.
Are there any other nominations for the chair? Any other nominations for chair? Okay, a motion to close the nominations,
So moved.
seconded by Gloria. All those in favor of closing nominations?
All right.
Aye.
All right. There being just one nomination, I believe that as secretary, I can enter 1 vote for Michael Rossi as chair.
Correct.
Okay.
It's
I do?
the procedure.
Okay. All right.
Second.
All right.
50.
Since you're now reelected.
I get that back.
you get the gavel.
Ah, thank you. The power, it's amazing.
Our bylaws do say that you take office immediately.
Yeah. Okay, now we need to open this up nominations for vice chair.
I'd like to make a nomination for Mike Florio as vice chair.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Second? Mike, do you accept the nomination?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, are there any other nominations for vice chair? Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Okay. Hearing none, I'd like a motion to close nominations.
Make a motion to close nominations.
I'll second.
Ellen seconded, okay, thank you. Again, Ellen, since there's no other
Since
nomination.
there's only 1 nominee, I will enter 1 vote for Mike Florio for vice chair.
Thank you. Then nominations for secretary. We have a nomination for secretary, please.
Take a nomination for Ellen Dahlgren.
Okay,
I'll
thank
second
you.
it.
Second by Michael Florio. Mike, or did you go Michael or Mike?
Mike, whatever.
Whatever you want.
Okay, any other nominations? Okay, in that case,
I'll enter one vote for,
well, we need a motion
Oh, we need to
to
close.
close
Make a
nominations.
motion to close nominations for secretary.
Okay. Do we have a second? Mike, thank you. Okay, again then,
those in favor, yeah, well, then we have to vote.
that's right. All those in favor of closing that?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, I'll enter one vote, for myself for secretary.
Thank you. Okay, I will make a note, the training that I had this week, I found out that it's not appropriate for me as chair to, wait, I'm saying that wrong. Never mind, I got it, never mind.
Okay.
I was gonna say, volunteer not to do something that I realize Robert's rule says that the evidence was the other way around. Okay, so I'll stay with Robert's rule.
Mr. Chair, can I put a word? During our training, it said that everyone, that is on the commission has to cast a yes vote or nay. You can't abstain, they said.
You're not supposed to be.
So they want you to vote yes or no.
Right.
No abstention.
That's correct.
Okay, I just want everybody to know that.
Yeah, that's the one exception that I was almost screwed up was, according to Robert's rules.
Right.
The chair should only vote to break ties
To
Exactly.
break
Or-
or make it.
or make a tie if
Right.
it's to, vote in the negative.
Yes, sir. That's true.
That's Robert's rules and
Everybody understands it. That's very important.
yeah, so I'm supposed to keep my mouth shut.
No.
Which I can't do. So anyway, now we'll go on to the reviewing the bylaws. One thing that we probably should do with the bylaws is to figure out how we want to handle Article 8, which is the order of business. Because we have not been following the order of business. So there's two ways we can handle this. One is to go back to change our order of business in the future to go with what's written here
Robert's rules.
and follow this order of business. Or adjust to what we've been doing recently. We don't have to make the changes tonight. Okay, although tonight a simple majority allows us to make the changes.
Yeah, because it says, it's not.
We can also do this at any time, but then we need a 2/3 majority.
But you're not bound to do this.
No, we aren't bound to change anything.
Right.
Okay, but we are bound, if we don't change it, to go back to the old system. Follow what's in the bylaw. Okay, so,
What have we been doing wrong?
huh?
What have we been doing wrong?
We're not following the order of items in the bylaws on page 5.
For example, the chair's comments precede the minute of the.
Yeah, I mean, it's little things. It's not a huge difference, but we should be following the bylaw.
Is that dictated from Robert's rules?
No, the order of business.
Or is it different?
It was actually,
It's simply a matter of housekeeping, because why not just follow the rules that are in the bylaws?
Right.
Rearranging.
Yeah,
It
right.
only makes sense. I don't see any benefit to changing the order.
right, I don't either, but I just wanted to bring it to people's attention, so we'll fix it and it'll be fine going forward. Like I said, we don't need to vote on this tonight. Again, if somebody has a burning desire to change it, fine. Okay, but again, we can do this at any time with a 2/3 majority or 2/3 vote, okay?
But in the interim, we'll just follow the bylaws.
Follow the bylaws.
Okay,
Yeah.
we really need to.
And
vote on that at all.
this is my fault because I did not point it out. I forgot about it and didn't point it out, and so I apologize to everybody.
Well, I just one quick question, because we haven't been doing general staff reports since you've been getting more detailed staff reports on each of the individual applications and items before you. So I think it was from a staff perspective, we want to clarify, are you hoping or looking to have a separate section of staff reports or?
Well, what we had done in the past with staff reports was the reports that you've given, we just recognize them. Okay, unless there's something additional that you need to bring up. Okay, so because I would not want to change the staff reports you're doing. Okay, we can just say, you know, we recognize that we've got staff reports for these items.
Sorry, we're doing what you want us to do.
Right.
All right.
Okay. Is there anything else in the bylaws that people had questions or concerns about?
No, what I wanted to about the extensions and stuff and the housekeeping.
Thank you. Chair's comments. We're now to minutes. I'm following the agenda the way it's written, and we'll go back later. Minutes, review and approval of the November 13th, 2023 minutes. Are there any corrections, comments on the minutes? You guys are doing a good job, because I'll tell you, Bo is usually really good at fixing the minutes.
I wasn't here in the November meeting, so.
Okay.
And I can't even abstain now.
You can't abstain, no. But even not seated, I'd like your comments on the minutes. So, yeah. Okay, chair's comments. The main thing I want to do is to welcome our new members. I appreciate everybody who's joining us. Thank you very much. This is a very important commission, and I want to, make sure that everybody knows that, I respect the fact that you're putting your time in on this, and that you're not always going to be popular making decisions that may be tough. Okay. I also want to point out, as chair, I don't have to agree with you to respect me. Okay, just because I expect there'll be times when I don't agree with everybody, that doesn't matter. I'll still respect you for all the work you're putting in, and I appreciate you for doing that. Okay, that's my comments for tonight. Move on to receipt of applications. First item is Planning and Zoning Commission 2328 proposed text amendment to section 28 accessory use of the Clinton zoning regulations, proposed amendments to section title and sections 28.1.1 through 28.1.4 G. We're the applicant, so there is no clock on this, but so I'd like a motion to receive this application.
I'd like to make a motion to receive 28.1.1 through 28.1.4.
It's actually 23-28. Easy. That's okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mike.
23, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Any discussion on it? All those in favor of receiving this? Okay, thank you. Opposed? Okay. Carries. Next is we go to public hearing. And the public hearing is also on PZC 23-28. Proposed text amendments to section 28 accessory units of the Clinton Planning and Zoning Regulations. Is there a notice of public hearing to be read?
Yes, there is. Legal notice of public hearing, hybrid, in the green room and via Zoom. The Town of Clinton Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a hybrid public meeting on Monday, December 11th, at 7 p.m. to consider the following: PZC 23-28 proposed text amendments to section 28, accessory uses of the Clinton zoning regulations. Proposed amendments include the section title in section 28.1.1 through 28.1.4G. At said hearing, all persons will have the right to be heard. The applications and correspondence are available for public inspection at https://clintonct.portal.opengov.com/records/18400. Anyone requiring special accommodation to participate in the public hearing should contact the land use office at 860-669-6133. Michael Rossi, Chairman, Town of Clinton Planning and Zoning Commission. This was published in the Harbor News on the 30th of November 2023 and the 7th of December 2023.
Thank you. Wait a second, get my agenda open again. So we're looking at a variety of small changes to the section 28 here that we went over that the commission went over last time. Just to summarize, before we open this up for public comment, what we're looking at are changes to clarify standards for accessory uses, parking, and the livestock. I believe were the three on this. Okay.
Certain species, yeah.
Certain the ones that need. We have a letter from the CEO addressing companion animals and how that's consistent in with other towns and with the state regulations for agriculture. We also have a letter from our town planner on accessory uses. And then there was another one there.
Oh, yes.
Companion animal.
Yeah, there's Kathy on the planning animal, on the.
I believe you have a duplicate staff report in there from the previous meeting, which is sort of the summary of all of the potential changes in section 28. The one that is germane to this particular public hearing is the one dated December 6th.
Okay,
That deals just with the changes that are the subject of this public hearing.
okay. Yeah, that's the one I have open.
Kathy about the
Okay.
CEO.
With this, this has all been published. Is there any comments from the commission before we open it up to the public? Because were there any concerns or questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I continue to have the same concern I do about the pygmy goats and the odor. Now, last time we discussed this last month, I did use the term billy goats and nanny goats, and I apologize. I am informed that the proper terminology for goats is bucks and does, like deer. Next thing you know, they'll have pronouns. I don't mean to insult goats. But I remain very concerned about the odors associated with keeping more than one goat if what people intend to do is to have a breeding pair. The male goats, whatever they are called, do have a distinct odor. And I'm not talking about ordinary barnyard odors that all livestock have. I'm pretty familiar with those. I have spent many a spring on a sheep farm. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the musk odor, which is associated specifically with male goats and which is not diminished in pygmy goats. They have shorter legs, but otherwise they're goats. The musk, the principal component of that musk is butyric acid. I don't know whether or not you guys recognize the term butyric acid. Michael does. But butyric acid is what makes vomit smell like vomit. It's an odor that's a lot worse than the standard barnyard odor. So I'm exceptionally concerned with the notion of keeping male goats, unless they're wethers, on small plots in residential areas. And that's my concern with this particular amendment to the zoning regulations. If we modified it to limit the two pairs of goats to neutered males, to wethers, or to all females, that's a different matter. But I cannot support the notion of keeping unneutered male goats, no matter how tall they are, in residential neighborhoods.
Thank you.
I just want to say that it's an acre, so it's not a small lot. And again, that's the practice that I gave you is what other municipalities are doing and what the state agricultural recommends.
I would kind of go along with what Ellen's saying, that, you know, even though it's on an acre lot, it doesn't necessarily mean that the goats will be penned in the center of that lot, for instance. You know, if they're near the borderline, or, you know, or contained on one side of the lot, I think that Ellen has a real concern here. I'm not familiar with that, but doesn't sound like something I'd want next to my house.
Well, they have to meet setbacks and have enclosures, just like all animals do that are in that situation. So they meet the setbacks.
But the enclosure has to be within the setbacks, but the fences don't have to be, correct? The fence containing the animals can be right on the border, is my understanding. Is that correct?
Well, they have to be kept in an enclosure. And yeah, there are fences there. But
I've seen a fence that contains an odor. You know, that keeps it restricted within the property line.
well, I mean, people are doing it now with one male goat. I mean, it's not like it's something we're seeing a lot of. It's just that these animals, the small ones, don't thrive without a companion. That's why this came through.
But
It's not like this is happening all over the place. I mean, I know we have to vote based on zones, not just for one property, but it's just something that came up because the animals don't do well as a single. They need a companion. They're considered a unit or a head, depending on the definition.
Okay, go ahead.
But again, Ellen's proposal is not to ban companions, but to limit it to neutered males or to females. Is that correct, Ellen? Am I?
That would be fine with me. Dairy goat operations make sure that there is no male around when they're doing milking, because the odor is so intense and so pervasive that it works its way into the milk. The milk is worthless.
Wow.
If there is, you know, a male goat around. As I say, it's butyric acid.
Yes,
that is-
you got that.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I have to echo her sentiments. I mean, if you need two together, why can't one be neutered? I mean,
Why can't we?
unless you gotta, if you neuter them, you know, why do they, you know what I'm saying? Then there's no smell. And then you're not breaking them up, you know what I mean? That's all I gotta say.
Why do we have to have baby goats? Why can't we say you can't have it?
Yeah, you can do that too.
Eliminate it, period.
They're pretty popular.
Right now,
Baby goats popular,
Apparently they are.
like dogs. What?
okay, go ahead. Well, I'll recognize you. You go ahead and speak.
Go ahead, speak.
I mean, they're pretty popular amongst people. Like, there's people that have them all over the place.
You know people that have billy goats?
You know, a couple of them, little pygmy goats, the little ones, you know, the
Pygmy.
little things like,
Pygmy, yeah, I know.
are they the ones that faint too?
No, separate breed.
No,
Zach?
They're the ones that people are doing yoga with though, so like, yeah, it is coming in hot, but in terms of like the ethics of it, like. They need the companion, but I agree, I mean, if we license dogs, for example, and stuff, like, we could put the limitation at what's comfortable and appropriate for the community while having these animals thrive at the same time.
Yeah,
I don't see an issue with what you were moving for.
yeah, I'll leave it.
My only concern is, are we eliminating the ability to have breeding pairs of animals on farms?
So The livestock
Ah,
unit,
do
3 sheep, goats, it's a one livestock unit as was listed in here, so I mean, at a breeding pair, after they breed, you get rid of the goats anyway, right? Like, you're not gonna have more than
Right,
3.
but what I'm saying is if you require the males to be neutered, you don't have a breeding pair.
I can speak to the farm question.
You wanna address, thank you.
Yeah,
Ally.
so the farms operate under a different set of regulations within the zoning code and with the Department of Agriculture. So in our regulations, they have to have more than 3 acres. It's a little bit of a different operation that qualifies it as a farm.
Right.
That's, you know, sort of that, you know, your product at that point could be goats, but you have to have the correct acreage, setbacks and management for that particular use of the property. This is an accessory to residential use. And so, you know, so you have that distinction. So you may have a 3-acre residential property, but if it isn't a farm, you can't overrun it. You can't have more, you know, you can't have too many.
That's why you bring that up, because a farm is a farm, but
If you're not producing goats, so
Right.
for example, you know, if somebody has an acre piece of property and they have a couple of pet goats, one of them is an unneutered male, they wind up having, you know, kids or whatever. They cannot keep those babies at that location.
Yeah.
They certainly can't, you know, it's not like having puppies. And sort of keeping them in the living room. And so, you know, I think if there is something to be said for restricting as a residential accessory use, leaving farms out of this.
yeah. there's no-
If there were gonna be a language change, there could be another condition added to this section. However, that would be a fairly substantial change to the content, and so my recommendation would be to defer that. And advertise it with the language that you are looking for, you know, to make sure the advertising, you know, is appropriate for public comment. But there's certainly nothing stops you from putting that condition in, and it wouldn't harm a farm by doing so.
Okay, as long as it wouldn't harm the farms, then
Right,
I withdraw my
This
objection.
is for a residential setting, not a farm.
not a farm setting, that's
Right.
right. Yeah, so a farm is minimum 3 acres, and then a residential, 1 acre is a big difference. And like Bo said, you know, the fence, you know what I mean, and I agree with Alan.
And I think for a farm, it also has to be designated for tax purposes as a
Right.
farm as well.
Right,
So
correct.
it's not just acre.
It is a use. It is.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, so I'm with Alan.
Okay.
So you
Is
gotta
there
change.
any other comments from the commission? And Lawrence, you're allowed to talk during public hearings because everybody, you don't have to be seated as an alternate for public hearing portion.
Is that me?
That's you, in case you had a comment.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. At this time, I will open this up to the public to comment on the proposed changes to the regulations. If there's anyone in the public who would like to speak, what we do is first allow those who are in favor of the application to speak, then those opposed, and those who don't want to be characterized as either in favor or opposed. Anybody want to speak on this? No? Everybody's shaking their heads no in the public? Okay, with that, what I would like to do is to add the language. I would like a motion to add the language specific for the goats to this. Renotice that. Okay, and table the rest of it until we've done all of this as one thing. Is that acceptable to people?
Yes.
Okay, can I have a motion to do this? And Ellen, I would like you to help us with the language. So this is,
Well, I would, such breeder variety may include pygmy goats, provided, it may include female pygmy goats or neutered, male goats. Old English baby doll sheep or similar animals.
wait a second, and this is
This is
G, three, correct?
It's three, yeah,
Yep.
the G must be on the prior.
Yeah, so G three.
Okay. Such breeder variety may include, female pygmy goats, neutered male pygmy goats, Old English, sheepdog, sheep, baby doll sheep, or similar animals. Unneutered male goats are not permitted under this, section.
For the pygmy goats only.
Well, there also is something called a Nigerian something or other, but goat apparently is also kept as a pet. I think most of them are pygmies, so let's not have somebody getting a different breed in an unneutered goat.
Okay. But you're just saying for the goat. I
But
got it.
just, and add the sentence, you know,
Neutered.
unneutered
Neutered.
male goats are not permitted under this section.
Is there any, and so there's no concern with sheep, I'm not familiar with.
Sheep don't have this.
No, they don't have a.
Yeah, the barn still smells like a barn, but I've spent many an April lambing and I know what sheep smell like.
We could add the sentence at the end and strictly say, unneutered male animals shall not be
No,
permitted.
you know,
Okay.
I mean, sheep have their other issues, but not this one.
It's just to the goats. Okay,
Sheep are the-
with that language, do we have a motion? To approve that, add that language, advertise it and table the other.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Yeah,
second.
And I'll second it.
Ellen got the second in. Okay,
The whole thing.
Exactly, it's on the same.
I just have a
Yes,
question real
Zach.
quick. So look, sounds like we're changing the language to 3 and advertise, to the third point, which is the companion animals. And then I know we discussed like the swimming pools and that was in the staff briefing. And
that's in a later,
okay, I just didn't wanna,
no, that's on a different agenda item.
okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor of, this motion?
Fine.
Okay. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Let's go back to my agenda. The next, thing we have are application reviews. The first one being Planning and Zoning Commission 23-24 CAM application for 32 Maple Avenue, removal of a garage deck and porch on property, addition to existing structure within build lines and conforming to all other compliance requirements. To owner Elizabeth Bradley. I assume that we have an agent or applicant here.
Yes. I have a color coded site plan. I don't know the best place to.
We don't have like.
I don't have an easel with me. I mean, I can bring a chair, but where's the
Why don't
best
you
place for
grab a
everybody?
chair for it? Make sure we have one of
Sorry.
these.
I think they're all in the application already, so this is more just the reference. right now.
There are, I don't know that I've seen this particular configuration.
I uploaded
Did
it.
you upload it?
Oh, yeah, a few weeks ago, actually, before the last meeting. It's been up there a little bit. So, for the record, my name is Denise Von Bessel. I'm an architect with KV Designs who worked on this project. And this is Elizabeth Bradley, the owner. And, so this site, the property's just under 29,000 square feet.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can you possibly step back a bit so the other members?
I know, that's why I was like, oh, wasn't sure what, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, so,
Is it the site plan you uploaded November 13th?
yeah. I just color coded it because there's so much going on the property. I don't know how anybody's gonna really.
I think we could all see it now, but before,
Okay.
members that could.
That's fine, okay. So,
On the
Don't
screen.
go too far back. I don't have any binoculars.
I know.
Chair off.
Is this okay?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so, so this,
Step on the street.
yeah, so this is, the existing house is a 1,570 square foot, 1.5 story Cape style single family residence with an attached garage and shed. The property is located on a tributary to the Hammonasset River. Hence the title, why we're here, for the tidal wetland setback. There are tidal wetlands on the southern end of the property, which I color coded in this light blue here. This is the whole property. And it, 50-foot setback, the existing house is here. And the garage is here. The garage / shed is here. This is the tidal wetland boundary. This is 50-foot tidal wetland setback. This is 100 feet. So the entire property falls within the 100 feet. There's also a little bit of inland wetlands here, and which the 100-foot inland wetland setback is here. We've just received our administrative approval for inland wetlands. Then there is the FEMA floodline between being in an active flood zone and not. That falls, where's that one? That one is, falls, it's right here. And it goes right through the attached garage / shed, putting the house into the A flood zone. Our proposal, I'll make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So our proposal is to demolish the attached shed garage here. Which number one takes it out, the building out of the flood zone. This part of the building exists, it's the 1.5 story. This little area here is currently a single story attached addition at some point. And then there's a little front entry here. This proposal, and it has a deck and a small weird kind of a porch thing from the second floor.
You can see it on the picture.
The pictures are, yeah, better. So what we want to do is we want to remove entirely the attached garage and shed. Put a second story on top of the 1 story adjunct here. Remove the decks and that, I guess, porch on the back side. And then on the front of the house, on the street side, remove the very small entryway and put a basically 1.5 story addition onto that. The work, the garage removal, that falls in the 50-foot, within 50 feet of the tidal wetlands. The single story addition that we propose to put a second story on also falls within the 50 feet, but we're not doing any expansion at the ground level. It's just going completely vertical on top of that construction. The only foundation work will be on the east side or the street side, and it's a very small addition. Stockpiling we'll put in of materials will be in the most northern corner of the property. This has a very large cul-de-sac at the very end of the street, so equipment can mostly stay there. It also has a pretty good sized driveway. The driveway is going to remain. We are reducing the overall, significantly reducing the impervious ground coverage from 8% to 6.7%. And the all the additions, comply with the zoning, setbacks. And we will put a silt fence around the construction work. I can show you, I have drawings. The plans. So I have the floor plans here. This is the front of the house. Okay, so north is this way on the plan. Basically, it's just a little cape. We're proposing a 5-foot by just under 22-foot addition on the street side with a covered entry and steps. And then this little area here, that's about 10 by 11-ish. Currently is 1 story, that's where we want to go up with a 2nd story above. This here is the proposed addition up to the street side, that 5-foot expansion here. And then the end of the house, this currently faces south, faces the tributary. This is currently a 1 story that we're going up. It's not actually a full story, but pretty close on there with some other roof work.
May I ask you, which one's the street view, the top one?
This one right here.
Okay, so the only real difference in terms of height would be on the left-hand side of that where you'd have the 2nd story
Correct, but we're not expanding
above
the existing roof line.
Thank you. That's all the only clarification I wanted. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I didn't mean, I
No, it's
shouldn't have
okay.
interrupted you.
So our building, let's see, our maximum ground coverage, we're allowed 20%. Currently, they're at 8%. We're going to 6.7%. The building height is about 23 feet. We're staying at that same 23 feet. The floor area for zoning, you're allowed 40, we're at 4.9, we're going to 6.2. Tidal wetland, we're required 100 feet. Currently, the garage is the closest and it's at 25.9 feet, and we are going to 41.4. Here's 41.4, just for that. 41.4 will be at the existing 1-story portion of the home that we're adding on top of. And then 53.8 to the proposed addition, ground up. And then inland wetlands. I don't know if you're concerned with that, but
That's different commission.
yeah, right. So it's just, I'm going through everything on here. So basically, we're, our proposal, I think, is in keeping with as best we can, the guidelines. The best place we can't really expand to the north because the house is pretty much right on the setback line. At the east, it's just a very small addition. Again, it all falls within the zoning setbacks. It's just the title. It did go to DEEP. And that letter basically, I think it was Marcy. Yeah, Marcy, I don't know should I read it or do you have?
No, we all have it.
You all have it. So, I mean, that seems good. She was concerned with, the flood zone changing, but that's something we'll just deal with down the road. This house has a full basement. So in order to make it comply with FEMA, they have to get rid of the basement, fill it in, and they're not ready to do that. So by taking off the garage, because it's attached, it takes it, at least currently, out of the flood zone. And it gives them a view, because right now, that's where their view is, it's, you know, towards that, down here, where the tributary is.
So they're not gonna have a garage?
And no.
on the driveway?
Correct. Yep. So, that's really the most important view of the property, and right now they have none because
So
of that building.
picture, the middle picture of your drawing,
The middle one,
the garage is gonna
Yep.
be gone, and you're gonna make
Correct.
the front of the house straight across. Up on the bump out part, you're adding 5 feet.
we're adding 5 feet across this part of it, not where that single story, that single story is bumped
Yeah.
back a little bit.
Yeah, I see
Right,
that.
yeah,
Okay.
yep.
And then in the back, the deck's gonna stay?
No, the deck is going, the garage is going, and that sort of 2-story little 5x5 porch is going. And the only thing we're proposing is a landing and stairs out of a set of French doors
Out to the ground.
to the ground. It's only 3 steps, 2 steps. And a landing.
Now, unfortunately, Bo, this is not a public hearing, so you can't participate.
Okay,
I saw you getting ready.
well, I have a question, that's what just,
So, okay, anyone who's seated, have questions at this time?
No?
You
Okay,
addressed-
you speak to me, did you get that?
We did
Mike.
get the,
Got that?
true. As well.
Mike.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
Sorry. Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure, so there's, after they remove the garage, if I'm understanding this correctly, there will be, none of the property will then be in a FEMA zone, is that correct?
Actually, a portion of the property, that's still in the flood zone.
Right,
The house
There's
won't
still-
be,
that's going.
Is still in the flood zone.
yeah, the property will be, but not the house.
Oh, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. It's in the 50-foot zone.
Right. Okay, that's what so once you get rid of the attached garage, then that would be out of the FEMA, the house, that portion, and not the rest of the house, there's not any part of that would be in the FEMA flood zone, correct, as of right now?
That's correct. Yes.
Thank you. I said that wrong.
That's
but
okay.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions from the commission members? Okay. With that, I would entertain a motion, and we have some proposed language if anyone is willing to make that from.
I moved, can I make a motion, Mike?
Yep, you may.
I move to approve application PZC 23-24 for a coastal site plan at 32 Maple Ave, Clinton, Connecticut, as shown on plans titled Bradley Renovation, 32 Maple Ave, Clinton, Connecticut, prepared by KV Designs LLC, dated August 11th, 2023, and revised through November 13th, 2023, and adopt the following findings of fact. 1, the project incorporates reasonable measures to mitigate potential adverse impacts to coastal resources and future water dependent development activity, and that 2, the proposed application is consistent with CGS section 22A-92.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Danny, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Oh, you,
Go ahead, Ed, did you have a question?
no, I was just, no, it's okay.
Let's see, so the next one, we're to administrative items. Because, the text amendment, isn't closed, so we can't, vote on that one, so we go to administrative items. The first one is discussion of appointments to Rivercog Regional Planning Commission. I really need somebody to take this on. We need to get a volunteer from the commission to do this. Unfortunately, everybody's here, so we can't nominate someone who's not here tonight.
Who'd you want to nominate?
So do I have a volunteer? Is there anybody who would be able to, represent us with the River Cog?
There is a full membership and an alternate position available, so if you were to sort of tag team it, you know.
Yeah, there's both our alternate and our full member are, stepping down, so we really do need somebody up there.
How often do you guys meet? How do you meet?
They meet, the fourth Monday of every month.
And what about, is it Zoom or?
So I believe all of their meetings have moved to Zoom for COG. It was previously at their location in Essex, but I believe there is a virtual option.
Yeah, how long will these meetings be going on for?
So it's the Regional Planning Commission, so it's sort of in perpetuity. The meetings will just continue on because it is the regional planning organization and it supports things like the regional plan of conservation and development, affordable housing plans, there's hazard mitigation planning that's going to be coming up soon. Some of those bigger plans were done in the last couple of years, but whenever there's sort of larger regional planning efforts, this is sort of the guiding body that makes recommendations to the Council of Governments, which is the body that's made up of representatives from executive levels of the various towns and cities.
So Larry and I will do it, right, Larry?
Yeah, sure. It's yeah, I at the beginning, I just thought it was for the same property, Elizabeth.
No, we got it. Abby.
Yeah.
Okay. Who would like to be the full member? and who would
He'll be the full
alternate?
member, Larry, because he needs it.
Okay, Larry, thank you for being the full member. Eddie, you're the alternate.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks,
Okay.
Ed.
Now we go on to further discussion of section 28. We have three items that we wanted, or is it 3 or 4 that we wanted to discuss tonight? For some reason I had 3 down and I see 4 on
Yeah.
the agenda.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
28 H and I probably go together.
Separate them, I think, yeah.
So, the first one, I'm trying to find my language.
I'm happy to go over some of them.
Why don't you go over it since I'm not seeing my language?
Yep, so there was a memo, it should hopefully be in your information as well, from October 19th, and we discussed briefly at the November meeting. So we had talked about some draft language and a starting point to discuss in sort of the conversation that Mr. Alberino brought up relative to swimming pools, and that conversation was based around setbacks in ground coverage. The regulation language in front of you essentially takes whatever the least amount, the lowest setback, the smallest distance from property lines on side and rear property lines. We didn't touch the front lines, and give some flexibility there across the board to allow folks to go closer to those lines with swimming pools. It does not touch the ground coverage piece because there was some conversation previously on what was pervious versus impervious. And the staff here a consensus from the commission that taking it out of the ground coverage was something you wanted to do, but right now what we're looking for is guidance. Sort of what direction does the commission hope this conversation moves in? What are the benefits or drawbacks of modifying setbacks and regulating pools differently from structures in terms of setback compliance? And if there's any further conversation on the ground coverage piece of this to be had.
Well, if I
Am I
may,
allowed to participate in this part?
Yes.
could he talk on this? Could he talk on this?
Wait a second. This is where we at in the agenda.
I want to talk.
This is under administrative items. Yes, I will permit you to talk.
Right. So, when we say.
Go ahead. Well, I recognize you.
I know that Eddie had some concerns he had some specific references about ground coverage. People had over many parts of the house and stuff. So I looked into the pools part, and obviously a pool is an impervious surface. But it also acts as a kind of a detention pond. You know, every pool has probably 8 inches of freeboard between the pool, the water level and the coping, if you will, of the pool. And that you know, that's 8 inches of water that it can absorb or hold until such time as it can be released slowly or evaporated by splashing or even drained with a small hose. So I think eliminating that as far as ground coverage, the pool itself, the surface of the pool, not the surrounding patio, I think makes sense. You know, if we're gonna eliminate the set or reduce the setbacks and make it more applicable or less, you know, less difficult for a homeowner to put a pool in. That makes sense, given the fact that, like I said, you know, if you look at any swimming pool, you've got that probably 8 inches of space between the top of the pool, whether it's an in-ground pool or an above-ground pool. You know, that's a significant volume of water that it can hold, or rainfall that it can hold, that can slowly be dispersed, if at all. You know, so like I said, it acts like a detention pond. And I think that therefore, I think the pool itself, the surface of the pool should be eliminated from ground coverage.
Mr. Chairman, I also like to talk about that. I'm not looking for anything other than to, you know, help our constituents with the pool, but I wanna obey all, I don't want any, I'm not looking for any exceptions to the rules for sanitation or wetlands. I do not wanna violate any wetlands. I don't wanna, I don't wanna give any slack to those regulations. I want those to be strictly enforced. Because I know for a fact that several people have had to dismantle their porch, their driveway, you know, elderly person, you know, to take their driveway out so the guy put a pool in for his kids, you know, the grandchildren. I mean, people have a house of their home, and this is how I feel. I feel very strongly, you know, that yes, they bought the house, but our commission is, you know, elected to help people, not, you know, to destroy the home or take down a porch or a back deck or a driveway to put a pool in for their grandkids or yourself to enjoy. But you know, it's got to be, you know, like sanitation is important and wetlands important. If it fits that, and like Abby was gracious, she worked hard to, you know, to do the setbacks and stuff. If we can do that, we can help a lot of people out instead of, you know, just saying, oh, you can't have a pool because, you know, I mean, it doesn't make sense. I mean, and as long as it's not, you know, the B100 is all good, make them do the B100, make sure everything is good, you know. I really want this for the people, not for me. I'm not putting a pool in. I want this for the people that have it.
Can I clarify what you're saying? Are you talking about the ground coverage or the setback?
The ground coverage. Abby,
Okay.
the ground coverage.
Okay, I wanted to
I'm
be sure I
sorry.
knew what you were
I'm
talking.
Yeah, I'm very animated about this. Because I see what's been happening to several people, and it's not right, and so I don't believe it's right to do that to people.
Thank you. Any other comments on that part, on the ground coverage issue?
I'd just like to add, as I stated before, it does act as a detention basin.
Yeah,
So I mean,
you said
I
that.
would fully agree that, you know, if it was a totally impervious surface, then it would, yeah, it would certainly affect our lot, but in this case, it really wouldn't.
Jack.
I'd like to say two things. Number one, I don't think people are concerned with the ground cover issue, but I think a lot of people would be concerned about where the pool is put with the setback, because you know, if you had a property and you put your pool next to your neighbor's yard or on the side of your house or towards a neighbor, pools make a lot of noise. I mean, they're a place to gather. They're usually kids. I mean, when my kids are at the pool, it's like my wife is always telling me, never keep it down. So I think the setback is a big issue. I don't think that's my own feeling.
And I agree with you. Personally, I think that the proposal to just go across the board with the same setback for all districts is a little too extreme for me.
Can I make a comment, Mr. Chairman, too?
Yes.
So the reason that the ground coverage is an issue is, as you all know, impervious ground coverage, we have to calculate that because we have concerns about runoff and flooding, especially with sea level rise and the more flooding that we see. In terms of people taking up their porches and things, that's their choice. When they come in to see me, and I tell them they're over the required amount of ground coverage, I tell them they have three options. They can make the pool smaller. They can go for variance, although a variance cannot be self-created. It can't be personal or financial, and there's really no hardship for a pool. So that's likely not going to go. And then the third option is, if they choose, they can barter coverage. So for example, I had one family come in and they had a 2,000 foot driveway that they had put in, and we don't really have a great balance. We're working on it now to get a check in place, because when people put in asphalt driveways, which are impervious, I didn't know about it. And so it would throw people over coverage, and they'd come in to get a shed or a barn. And I would tell them, you're already at 23% and you're only allowed 20, for example. So then they couldn't put in the pool. So they'd say, what can I do? I said, well, if you want, you can take up something else and even out the percentage. So a lot of people choose that. They'll say, you know what, I'm going to take up part of my driveway. I want this pool, or I'm going to take up part of my deck, or whatever it is. And then the numbers would equal the percentage that's required or allowed in the zone.
Can I ask a question or a point of clarification?
Yes, Jimsy, I recognize you.
Yeah, so I just want a point of clarification. When we change the setbacks for something like a pool, does that mean that setback could become even closer to wetland property?
No,
No.
that's a different set of regulations.
Don't want that. I
Wait,
said,
wait,
I'm sorry.
It's not it's not the wetland setback. It is the front side yard setbacks. Those are completely different items.
Okay, thank you.
In recognition of the concern about noise, if we reduce the setback to 10 feet as opposed to 20. The proposal is also to reduce it to 10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we needed a place to start the conversation,
Yeah.
so we said,
So
okay, 10 across the board to start.
Like, in recognition of your concern there, which is a legitimate concern, what if we demand a solid fence if the pool is within 10 feet of a border, a solid fence on the border if the pool is placed within 10 feet of the border, to kind of compromise,
Yeah, like a noise.
a solid 6-foot fence?
Yeah, like
I'd be more comfortable with something like that.
I would too.
Because that will also afford a little bit more privacy and also
That's good.
protect the neighbors with,
That's good.
protect the neighbors with the noise.
Good.
I like the noise, so I don't have a problem. My wife hates it. Okay?
My,
You think about it, kids at 10 o'clock at night.
No, we should.
Eddie, let him finish.
Yeah. So I just understand, I mean, my wife is so sensitive to the fact when kids are at our house, go with it. But if our pool is any closer to the people, it's right in the back of our property, away from anyone as much as possible. If someone is building a new pool and they have more room on the left or right side of their house, their pool tech, so there's gotta be some, and a fence held. No place to travel.
Oh, yeah.
Can we make,
Well, the only thing right now, we don't have regulations on fences under 7 feet.
Kathy, hang on. I wanted to, what I'm thinking about is, you may have a neighbor who right now is fine with your pool being right on the, 10 foot. And, you're in an R80 and they don't mind that your pool's right there. Okay, so they get along great. Somebody moves out of one of the two houses and then somebody else moves in who's the problem, that creates a real issue. And so I get nervous that if this is where I'm coming from, and the solid fence may not solve this, is that if you then have new people move into one or the two places, now you get conflict. And conflict between neighbors is a real headache for enforcement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so I would really like, I mean, I don't know if you want to do it, but I would really like to see, if you do then have new people move into one or the two places, now you get conflict. And conflict between neighbors is a real headache for enforcement. Okay? And so I would really like, I mean, I don't know if you want to do it, but I would really like to see to make sure, I mean, like, I'm a little, I think I spoke too fast when I said I was comfortable, because now I'm not feeling so comfortable with the fence. Because I really think that you've got to be careful about not creating a nuisance for the next people.
Some are 50, that's ridiculous,
Well,
right?
Oh, I agree, the existing are.
Right, so why don't we make like 15 feet?
And that's where I'd like to see us
I'd like
talk
to
about.
see us go 15 feet, because I think about Jay with the kids, you know, so, yeah, be very strict on the septic, be very strict on the wetlands, and you'll go 15 feet, not 50.
Right. Well, 50 is for the
For
rear.
the rear, yeah, and 20,
And only in 2 of the districts. I think
and
that's
20,
important.
and 20 on the other side, on the side.
So it's all by district, and so in the table that I provided for you, it kind of says, okay, so for example, there's the 2 places of potential change were side setbacks and rear setbacks. Front was not touched, because right now they're governed as structures, and so, for example, in the R10, folks already have rights to go within 10 feet of their property line with a structure, which includes a pool.
Right.
So if they met the coverage, or if the coverage were amended, they get to go 10 feet no matter what, no fence, no other, just they get their 10 feet. R15, they get 15 feet today, R20, they get 20, R30, they get 25, R40 is 25, R60 is 35, and R80 is 35 from the sides.
The R8.
So those
Yeah,
larger, those larger zoning areas have larger setbacks, it's sort of a proportional thing as you go up. So if there's a place where you want to break and say, okay, we're comfortable with this number of feet, but on our very small
Well,
lots, they have 10 feet today.
Can we do something like that on the R80, because that's where somebody's.
Yeah, well, I had a proposal that I was going to start with,
Okay.
which is leave it at 10 for the, leave the idea for 10 for R10 through R30s. And then my proposal would be to go to 20 for R40 and 25 for R60 and R80. Okay, and then on the rear setbacks, again, the 20-foot proposal, I would keep that for R10 through R30. I would go to 30 for the R40s and 35 for the 60s and 80s.
That's a lot too, though, for the rear, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's the rear setback, yeah.
Is there a happy medium that would make everybody happy on that? On the,
Because 50 is the current structural setback.
yeah.
Mike, may
Go
I
ahead.
ask a question? Sorry, another point of clarification. The setback standards, am I understanding that they're for the entire district, not just for Clinton?
So these are just for Clinton.
These are just for Clinton, okay.
We don't care about anybody else.
Yeah, we don't have authority over other.
I thought, well, that's why I asked for clarification, because I thought somebody said something about these being for the district, and I thought that was weird.
Well, no, when we talk about a district, we have the R80 district, and that those are the districts that control the size of the lots or
Gotcha.
the activity.
So I'm sorry, so R80, when I went to you about this, you wanted to do what? 15, 10?
Well, it wasn't kind of what I wanted to do, I gave you a starting point to start talking about, so.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was come up with the change in the first place, because we've only seen a few cases where it's been a major issue before. Those folks for whom it's been an issue, it's a make or break. So in R80, the current side yard setback is 35, in R80, the current rear setback is 50.
Okay, so the 35, can we go to 15? Would that be happy?
On the
The 80, on
on the side
the
or the,
R80, yeah, 15 feet, and maybe, and like that fence. A 7-foot fence or something, you know, for. Because. I know the guy, so every pool on that street, everybody has a pool. And they all signed his letters, it's just one guy, I got 5 people. So, but one guy, everybody signed, everybody's got a pool. He already took down the trees, he had no idea about all this other stuff. So I was up front with Abby about, I went to her, and that's why I want to do it. But I don't see why, like Bo said, why can't people, well, the ground coverage, you know, why do we have to count that? I mean, if it's,
I'm not, the ground coverage, I think we moved beyond, it's
Okay,
the
so-
setbacks.
okay, so that's, we just have to come up with a happy medium for the R80, so.
Well, I
50 feet, 35 feet, that's a lot, I mean,
Well, I'd be willing to, I mean, in negotiation, say 25. For the rear setback.
how about the side,
The side, I think if we went to 20, I'd be okay with that.
You're talking R80 through R80, R60, R40 at 20,
Yeah,
and then 10 for the others?
yeah. Good.
Can I ask a question too?
Yes, you may.
So I have a couple of issues. One is decks are considered structures and they have to meet setbacks. So I would need for regulations for enforcement purposes to have clarification if it's just a pool or if it's a pool with a deck surround, because then it wouldn't be able to have that setback, because that would be changing the structural setback in general. And the other thing is, if you did want to have some kind of fencing like you spoke about with the sound, that would concern me, because right now we don't regulate fences under 7 feet. And if I were to get that, I would just, need to ask then, what do we ask for install? Because like, for example, right now, if someone puts in pavers for a patio, we try to ask for information about manufacturing and installation to make sure it's pervious versus non-pervious. So I would want to know, what do I look for in a fence? Because again, typically I don't regulate fences under 7 feet. That's really not my purview. And I just don't want to end up in a situation where I'm kind of out of my lane asking for things that are, you know what I'm saying? I think that could be tough, but I'm more concerned about the deck, because most people have a deck around the pool, or they have a concrete patio, which I don't mind for setbacks because that's just ground coverage, but it's just some things I'm thinking about in terms of the enforcement piece.
Well, I would agree with Kathy that a deck is a deck, and that cannot be within the setback.
Yeah.
That's,
can't,
can't bend everything.
I think we're bending in half, so. We won't allow the deck.
The deck cannot be within that setback.
Yeah.
The pool itself, the edge of the pool could be, choose not to have.
But not,
We're really talking about an above ground pool in this instance.
yeah, that's the above, no, we're talking about below,
Well, we're talking about both.
in ground pool, but the above ground, I'd be willing to accept that, but no deck, and if you need 7 feet, then that's what you have, 7 foot. Cause that'll make Jay happy, make Jay's wife happy.
I'm not saying a fence, I'm just saying that it.
Yeah, you're right.
It's the setback that, the
I,
issue.
may I say something? I think with any,
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
I think with any above ground pool, you should have at least, a platform deck. Should be legal, but not on the side that goes near the setback, it might be.
How
on the
about no, or the ladder,
Yeah.
you're right. We had a pool our whole life.
Let him finish. You interrupted.
Yeah, sorry, Larry.
I'm talking about a 6 by 8 foot little platform, if need be, that they have to have some sort of deck just for purposes, but then that would also have to meet codes and have a child safety lock on it, to get up in there. But that's, something to be discussed, the opposite side of where the setback is. So if let's say the setback's 20 feet, you got a 15-foot pool, then 35 feet back can be your little platform deck,
Okay.
I think as far as sorry guys, I was thinking as far as the fencing goes, I think we'd have to stipulate it that it's a solid deck, a solid fence rather, because a lot of pools you could put a metal, split fence that you can see through. So this would have to specifically say would be solid or opaque or something.
I believe that's what I said. It was a solid fence.
Okay, sorry, Bo, thanks.
The only place that I would say that the solid fence might cause an issue is that you're adding a constraint in the R10. If you're requiring a solid fence at 10 feet, you're adding a new condition that those folks don't currently have. So that would be the one thing I would, in any other district where you're giving them a break on the
You can
setbacks.
make that exception.
We can write it, yeah, we can write it any way you want. I just
Write
wanna make
that
sure
as
it's
an exception.
clear that if.
So it doesn't drive Kathy crazy too.
Well, I don't quite understand your concern.
What I'm saying is if we said, what I'm hearing from folks is that if you go to these, if you are using the setbacks that are defined here, you are required to put up a solid fence along whichever property boundary you are farther than a normal structure would go. In the R10, 10 feet is the normal structure. There is no change for the R10. Which is fine, and which is consistent with the building official's recommendation on this, and, you know, he was sort of saying from a building separation perspective and what might impact other properties, staying 10 feet away with the pool is the right choice. But what I would say is that adding a requirement to put a solid fence in for R10 where there is not one now, would be the only district in which you're adding a new requirement to a property owner versus taking away requirements or enabling it for the others.
I understand now, yes, yeah. So we can leave that in R10 as is, and the rest have the requirements for the fence.
Okay.
And make sure we all that language in, Mr. Chairman, about the sanitation and septic and the wetlands.
Yep, that's
No,
actually in now.
It's in
Nothing,
there now, yeah, yeah.
nothing that could
That's good.
keep that.
Okay, so this is to get direction so that, we can get the changes in there and look at them again. And I'd like to get this put in so that next month we can, make a decision about sending this to public hearing.
Okay.
Okay? So, is there any more discussion on the pool at this point? I do agree personally with, Bo and Eddie about the coverage, in terms of, not counting it towards the coverage.
Thank you,
I would
Mr.
be-
Chairman, I appreciate
I'm
it.
comfortable with that because of the, again, the retention issue. But I may be, go ahead, Kathy.
So the fencing, just to clarify, the building official has building code about the safety fence piece that has to be around the pool with the locking gate. That's not me. So is what you're saying that you want that, but in addition, you want a privacy fence for the property line? Is that what
Yes.
you're thinking about?
We'll work with Richard on language and we'll present it back to the commission. Okay, is that, I think, over the
Yeah.
easiest.
Lauren,
So I have a lot of issues with fencing and enforcement and complaints. That's why it's concerning me. That's a lot of what I get calls about.
Lawrence, did you want to speak?
Larry, you gonna say, he's asking you to say anything?
What was that?
I thought you had a statement you wanted to make.
Well, the only thing is, I think the fencing you're talking about is not so much, it's for privacy, but also for like soundproofing and neighbors,
Yeah,
Right.
or, to be considerate towards them. And I think that's what they were talking about with the solid fence.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be
Yeah.
a second fence aside from the locking gate going into the pool. It would be two separate things, unless it is connected in some fashion.
Mm-hmm.
does that mean your wife is not gonna invite us over for a pool party?
Well, I don't have a pool, but we rent in Florida now. There's a pool. It's crazy.
Okay, we'll move on to the second part of this, which is storage structures and display. I think that's what, yeah. Make sure I'm on the right one. Yeah, or I. Yeah, so storage trailers, I'm sorry. Did anybody have any comments about, what was proposed here? Move to that so we can.
This is clarifying language that the regulations committee discussed when it was before them. And this is where we added in, so we essentially, reminded folks that you can't have a storage trailer sort of in perpetuity on your property. There's a time limit to that. But if you have a storage trailer there that's in association with an active building permit, you don't get dinged for, you know, having your construction staging on the property for the duration of the permit. I believe we had a 14-day expiration or completion of work or expiration of the building permit in which that unit would have to be removed.
Right. Thank you. So this is the new section I in here. It's on page 5 of the proposed regulations. And really what it's doing is it's adding, you know, more specifics to it. Wait a second, I'm on J. Wait, yeah.
Again, this is, we clarify that you need to get a zoning permit for it,
Right.
and then come on in. And if it's something that's in association with a building permit, the zoning compliance for that could be signed off as part of that building approval, so folks don't have to come in for multiple permits.
There any comments or direction that people would like to make for this one?
Is there a fee structure associated with the permit? Like,
The building permit,
how is that, like,
it's based on the value of the cost of work.
or if it's somebody just sold their house, like, you know, landscape or something for 14 days or whatever, and it's allowed by permit, do they have to pay a fee for that? And how is that determined?
It's a flat fee of like, what, it's $50 for a zoning compliance permit?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments on that one? And we move on to the last change that we were going to consider for tonight, I think. Oh no, we have 2 more. It's 28.1.4L.
And again, this is clarification to general accessory outside storage areas in various commercial zone districts. Solid waste will remove from that unless there's a particular use that is a solid waste or recovery site or some other purpose. And making sure it just essentially clarifying that the view to be screened is from a public street. So if there's a private way or something else that is not within a public view, that it's not required to be screened in the same way. However, if you have your gate needs to sort of cover the view if you're coming and looking at it from the street.
Are there any questions or comments on that? Those were all the easy ones. Planning rules would be the one that caused trouble. Okay, and then finally 28.3. I have to jump down there.
This is just a very general, right now, it's solar collectors and wind generators, and it's solar, wind, or other alternate energy systems. And this is just a way to open up if there's other technology or geothermal or other pieces that come into play, that there's not, sort of some implication or some, concern that they couldn't be allowed or wouldn't be permitted by accessory.
So it's just expanding the definition, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments on that, or we like to, okay, so we just need the pool language updated, and we can look at that next
Yep,
week.
we'll update all of it and we'll put it together as a package for full consideration as a complete draft, but to potentially go the month after so that it makes sense with the application before.
Okay, thank you. With that, we are now to the really tough item, adjournment.
Well, excuse me, Mr. Chair, when does Larry and I start our new job?
At the 4th Monday.
I'm just
The end of this
I just
month.
wanted to say that.
Provide you information since we get that.
Oh, okay, a second. I'm on the advisory council for Connecticut Water. Do I report to you guys? Or who do I report to?
Not me.
Fair question. I will find that out. Yeah.
Because you know what, is that I found out during the course of the meeting, that, for the fire, they charge us a lot of money for the water. And, I brought that up is, could up be as much as like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, for water that we use for fires and stuff, municipal water, and we should be getting a discount on that. So I'd like to know exactly, because Cromwell, the guys, they're getting hammered up there, and so I wanted to bring ours up so I can save our town money.
It's likely the town manager council, but I'll get it.
Yeah, probably town council and, and the managers didn't know about it. Luckily, we've got our, council, rep here, so he's hearing you, maybe he'll bring it to them.
No, seriously,
I'm serious.
To build, I can bring it up for the next meeting.
Okay, well, yeah, so Abby can look that up. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to.
Thank you, Jay. Seconded. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Don't hate Claire, don't be a hater.
Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it.
I don't hate you, Ed.
We're adjourned at 8:25.
Your wife does, I got you.